fucking around and finding out is the core of my art journey. If the idea is good and execution is good, it gets super wild. This is why a lot of artists are struggling, because right now, being an artist is not enough. You need to also be a marketer. Art is supposed to make you feel something. It's supposed to move something in you. It's kind of like when you love somebody and when you feel the love. If you want to work at like a studio for games, you have to be prepared for...
This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one website platform for creatives and entrepreneurs. Ruru is a professional artist currently working at a game studio, known for her beautifully rendered fan art of Genshin Impact characters. Her work has lured in over 80,000 passionate followers across her social media platforms. Let's welcome our incredibly talented and charming guest, Ruru. What is your origin story?
So we have this 6-year-old Ruru, okay? She's a baby. And then she one day watches this show called Winx Club. And then she's like, oh my god, fairies! I love fairies! They are so... Start of 10, I think. I saw this thing called anime. And I thought it was an art style. I didn't know about the animated shows. I didn't know anything. I just saw this like Google search anime, and you hear like you have these like Google image search, and I was like, oh my god, this looks so pretty. I want to draw like this. I just started like drawing from random images. And I just thought it was an art style back then. I didn't know anime was actually like animation for Japanese. I just thought it was like the name of an art style. So I just kept doing that up until I was in middle school. And then I just wanted to blend in with my friends who were watching Naruto, and I didn't know what they were talking about. And then it's kind of stuck with me after that. And I just was like, oh, anime is actually nice. It actually shows that you can watch. So I started watching anime, and that's kind of shaped my art style. I had my phases, you know. I had my shonen drawing phase, shoujo drawing phase, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, but I was just doing it for a hobby. I started to pursue it as a professional career around the age of 20. So been around 6 years now since I've been full-time. And I like my job. Yeah.
I found you through a short clip on X. You were, I think, rendering thigh muscles. When did you start getting serious into studying anatomy?
I actually almost never sat down and study anatomy. So people think I'm really good at anatomy, but I don't see it myself. You know, maybe it's because my own art, I don't see it as like an art god or like an anatomy god. Like I don't see myself anything remotely close to those. I'm trying to be those. Like, you know, those are my inspirations and stuff. So what I usually do, let's say I have a pose. Let's like do like for example, in that one, like we had the leg like this, one in the back, right? And then the other one is like more in the front, like this. I'm exaggerating, obviously. But like this is like the, you know, focus point, right? So I was like, I should focus on making that look good. So what I did, I just looked up a lot of leg muscles on the internet. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, okay, so it has this weird structure where it goes like this and this and this. Like looks like pastry in a way. So
pastry.
I just looked at a bunch. Yeah. And then I kind of just like tried and error, you know, and once the client was happy with it, I just went with it basically. And the rendering is just, I think it comes with time, like picking the right colors and stuff. But even if you know how to put the right colors in the right place, sometimes it doesn't look good. And then sometimes you gotta like start over. And that's just the whole process of being an artist, you know, it's just, but yeah, I actually didn't have any sitting down, practicing anatomy so I can get good kind of deal. I've only done it maybe maximum 10 times in my life. And I do not recommend this to anybody. Like, don't get me wrong. Please do study. It makes you like get better way faster. I just don't enjoy it myself. But one trick I can recommend is when I'm doing a fan art, I try to make it multi-purpose, if that makes sense. So let's say I draw like a hot anime male character, which is like 90% of my branding. You know? What I do is I find references of usually K-pop artists like doing these like thirst trappy poses or like photo shoots. I find those, I mix and match the poses I like and create my like own pose kind of. And since I'm using that for studying, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just slap like Risley from Genshin Impact on top of this and then share it. So it's not just like a study, it's also like a character put on the study so it also appeals to an audience. That's how I use my fan arts to kind of improve myself and like just multi-purposing the drawing thing.
Judging from the clip, it looks very detailed. How much time do you
Hmm.
spend on like, a body part, for example?
Depends on the body part, but it actually takes way less time than people think.
Before we hear more about Ruru's process, let me tell you more about Squarespace. As an art creator, I already have enough things on my plate to take care of. I need to draw, run my YouTube channel, and read all the comments. The last thing I need is having to sit down and spending weeks creating an entire website from scratch. With Squarespace, this whole process only takes minutes. Let me show you how I did it. You can type in prompts to describe the vibe you want for your website using the Blueprint AI feature, and bam, the AI will come up with suggestions for different style templates. Everything, and I mean everything, is customizable. You can intuitively add buttons, links, and images everywhere. So I added some of my artworks in the homepage. You can even change the frame shapes. Very fancy. New AI tool can generate text for you so you can save those precious brain juice for drawing your next fan art. It works with mobile, everything is running smooth. All of this took less than 15 minutes for me. But I know these things can be quite fidgety for some of you, so don't worry. The free trial lasts for 14 days. You have plenty of time to cook up something crazy, and when you're finally ready, you can use my link to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you, Squarespace, for sponsoring the video.
I do a colored sketch first and then put the colors there. That takes some time. That could take around 2 hours, maybe, not just for one body part, though, like the entire thing, just to try out the colors. I like doing colored sketches to see the whole thing in a messy way, if that makes sense. Because if I like how the color sketch looks, once I render it, it's gonna look nicer, blah blah blah. So because I've done the colored sketch beforehand, put it on the second canvas and put it on the side, and I color pick from it. So it makes it way easier for me to render the actual thing because the colors are already there. I can reference my own sketch that I worked hard to make look good. So the actual rendering after line art and base color, for me, that leg video, for example, only took like maybe 20 minutes. It's actually not that long, yeah. Like the preparation takes longer.
You mentioned that you didn't really, I guess, intentionally study anatomy, but I did some research and I found this picture of your progression over the years from like 2016 to 2024. There is definitely a sudden jump in quality around 2023.
Oh, yeah.
Did you do anything different before that, or you took some courses, or what did you do to get that jump?
Okay, so I like calling that my golden age. So I had a similar thing, like similar jump back in 2016-ish. That was when we were really into doing role plays with my friends. That really like improved my quality of art because I was really into drawing, because we would do role plays and we would do like, I would draw the scenes, like the interactions of our characters and all that kind of stuff. I've done hundreds of drawings and that like improved my art like tremendously back then. So around 2023, similar thing happened. I was really enjoying how to draw because I switched to Clip Studio Paint. Everything was new, like all these like new brushes and stuff, and it just made it really, really fun to draw. So I was drawing like 24/7, if that makes sense. You could probably see that around the time when I shared my first viral, I would say, post, a Nouvellette art, which got like maybe 60K likes or something. That was a first in my life. You can see that I consistently posted at least one drawing for like maybe 20 days or 10 days because I was constantly drawing because I was really into the story of Genshin Impact back then. I was like, oh my god, everything's so new. I was obsessed with like Nouvellette and Grizzly's like story and all that kind of stuff. So I just kept drawing, and there's so many more that I didn't share, and I took way more references than I normally do, which I think also helped the art look nicer. And that is also thanks to because of Clip Studio Paint again. Because back then I was drawing in Paint Tool Sai and I didn't have those like 3D models or perspective tools or gradient maps and all that kind of like fancy stuff. And once I switched to Clip Studio, I suddenly had like this, what do you call, like access to all these like high end like tools that helped drawing like better and faster. So what I did, like I implemented a lot of 3D into my drawing. I implemented a lot of color like gradient maps or some custom brushes, like for example the stuff I use for like water. I really like drawing water. I think those like helped a lot. Like I would say once you enjoy art and once you stop caring about like how it looks, it actually improves a lot. And one thing you can also notice before 2023, my art was always like rendered, like fully, line art and base color, like the classic process.
Mm.
But after that, you can see it's more sketchy. It's not finished because I just really hated the polishing part because I just wanted to draw. So all the things I shared after that point are just like very sketchy. It's like the colored sketches that I'm talking about that takes time.
Mm.
Those are the most fun part for me in a drawing. So I kept doing those colored sketches, and that gave me more time to draw more, if that makes sense. Because if you polish something, uh, you don't learn as much, I think, about creating from scratch. And I think that's the reason why there's a jump in quality right there.
How much time do you think you spend on each one?
Oh, that is a question that is impossible to answer because sometimes you just can't draw this one thing and you have to spend like 2 hours trying to fix one thing. And it just makes it really like hard to make it fast. But sometimes you just have that like, wow, inspiration. I just draw in like 20 minutes and you're like done. It's just really not like something I can answer. But I would say on average, one like character drawing, if it has no background, takes about like 4 or 5 hours.
Do you use the 3D models in every drawing that you do, or is just sometimes?
I use it sometimes. I use it when I really can't get a pose to look right,
Yeah.
or I sometimes draw a pose and I use it to double check if it's actually correct or not.
In the
Like
perspective
you
that
can see a good example here.
Okay. Do you use the model for lighting as well?
No, not really. I usually find like a really nice image that has a similar lighting to what I would like to do, and I use that as a reference.
But you know the
'Cause
model,
see,
you
like
can change the lighting for it, right?
yeah, but at the time I was really new to like Clip Studio. I even like had a hard time placing the model on the files. So I didn't know about like all the fancy things you could do with the model. So I just basically put a pose down and I couldn't even pose it myself. So I just relied on the library to find like pre-made poses I can use and then just change a couple things, like maybe lift a leg, maybe just copy paste another leg from another model and try to make something a bit more unique. But at the time, I didn't know how to use the tools because it was so overwhelming after a simple program like Paint Tool Sai. Switching to Clip Studio Paint was like, oh my God, I'm in a plane right now. There's like this engine in front of me. I don't know what everything does. I just know brush and eraser. What is going on? So due to that, I didn't know how to use it well. I still am really noob at like 3D models in Clip Studio Paint, I would say.
Mhm.
But I am trying to like improve and try to make my own poses sometimes. But mostly I don't need it, I would say.
I've talked to a few people, and none of them knew
Mhm.
that you can actually change the lighting on the model, which kind of surprised me.
Funny, I learned about that while doing work for my game right now. I really needed some golden like accessories for a character. And I was like, okay, I just found this really cool bracelet. I'm just gonna use those models. When I like dragged it on my canvas, it looked black, and I was like, "What's going on? What's wrong?" So I just like messed with the settings, and I found the lighting setting, and I just disabled the darkness, like to grab the ball and make it lighter, and it changed. So I was like, "Oh my god! Oh, it's golden again!" So that's how I found out about that. But Like, unless something like that happened, I probably wouldn't never have like learned about it. Because I think most people rely on 3D models just for the shape, not for the lighting.
How important do you think your technical skills? Wait, my brain is not braining right now. The how am I saying this? How important are technical skills like anatomy and perspective is in?
Okay. So when I got first hired, I actually was having a imposter syndrome. I was like, I'm not good enough to work at a studio. So I just panicked a lot. But then I realized they saw my art and they wanted me to do it. So that means they want something similar. Like out of nowhere, they don't expect you to deliver something that is better than what you've done before. So I think the reason why I got hired is because it's a visual novel and it's a sort of a dating sim as well. There's going to be really like, hot male characters. And I've been doing a lot of male fan art at the time. And one of my mutuals on X actually apparently like recommended me. They were like, if you need hot characters, there's the person to go to. So that's how I got hired. And I would say this job actually is like contributing to my art the most because I am getting challenged every time I draw something new. Sprite art is easy because it's just a character with a default lighting that is standing and doing a simple pose with a couple expressions. That is fine. It's like easy peasy. But then I got to be in the charge of CG, which is the scenes that happens, and you have to draw backgrounds, and you have to have like really good understanding of lighting. And this is when I started to feel really insecure because I've never actually drew something like a photography vibe art, if that makes sense. And that's when I started doing some research and I actually started learning a lot about photography, like how lenses work, details about like color grading and all that kind of stuff to make it look more like a scene rather than a drawing. And luckily, the people I'm working with are super nice. Shout out to them. Shout out to the studio Chawan. They're super nice people. Yeah, I would say though, if you want to work at like a studio for games, you have to be prepared for not letting art blocks stop you because you can't have the luxury to be like, oh, I'm an art block. I'm not going to draw for 3 months. You just can't do that. You have to deliver something every month because you have a contract. So I think harder than the art is the part where you have to be consistent with your art and actually get up and draw something every day.
Do you think you have any personal strategies to manage your art block?
Yes. I'm so glad you asked this because I worked on this for a long time and I'm really proud of where I am right now. So basically, first of all, I have ADHD. And people who know, they know. You just don't function normally sometimes. And I mean, most of the time, especially if you're unmedicated, which is my case, because in my country, most of the medicine is banned. So you can't even get it. So I have to learn how to go around it. And what I'm doing whenever I feel art block is actually allowing myself not to do it. Sometimes we just have this constantly, I have to work in the background. So you can't rest. You're constantly working even if you're not working. That's why you're so burnt out. At least for my case, that was how it was. When I'm not drawing, in order to feel quote unquote not guilty for not being productive enough, I get up and I draw at least one line every day. Maybe that's all I have today. Maybe all my energy is enough to do one line today, but that is enough. Tomorrow I'll do something again. And I think the starting part is the hardest. So once you start, sometimes you feel nice about it and you just realize and you've been drawing for 5 hours. And when I have really, really hard time, there's usually a reason behind it. Piece being intimidating. Like, for example, I get a CG that is really demanding and I don't know how to draw it yet. So it's really overwhelming. And when that happens, I do a lot of preparation. That is looking for making a mood board, taking a lot of references, sometimes even taking my own pictures or my family I use them as references sometimes, putting them in poses and stuff. And I count that as work. Some people might not think that is work or because you're not actively drawing, but that is actually a backbone of art process, the preparation part. Actually, I've been seeing a lot of like Instagram reels about like, about people being like, oh, I was going to draw, but I spent 5 hours scrolling on Pinterest trying to find inspiration. I wasted my time. No, you didn't. You didn't waste your time. You're doing preparation, which is also considered work. Obviously, you got to do it in a balanced way, but that is also work. So we like undercrediting our work actually makes us feel guilty about not being productive. But even when you're thinking about work, that is also some kind of work because you're like, oh, how can I draw this? Like, I'm supposed to draw a guy riding a motorbike. How am I going to do this? Oh, maybe I should look at some references, or maybe I should look at some 3D models that I could use. That kind of stuff, actually, when you give yourself enough credit for what you've done, that starts to make you feel a bit more at ease. And then you get less art block or burnt out. On top of this, another trick I do is introducing something new to my art. For example, today, right before this interview, I was doing line art and I really didn't want to do it. My deadline is tomorrow and I really didn't want to draw. But what I did, I found this really nice brush. And then I started drawing with that, and I really like how it looks and made me want to draw. So I just got half of the line art done already. And I can't wait to like go back and like mess with that brush. I think these kind of stuff like helps a lot. Like I kind of sometimes treat art like shopping. I go to Clip Studio assets and I find all these like nice brushes, assets, and all that kind of stuff. And it makes me want to use them and makes me want to draw something that I can use them in. So that motivates me to draw more, I would say.
What is it like being on a deadline compared to drawing casually for yourself? Because obviously, with a deadline, the thing has to go out no matter what, right? But sometimes, drawing casually for yourself, if it's just for social media, you can be like, I'm just going to skip today. So when it comes to the deadline, do you have any more strategies to make sure you deliver?
For that, I would say just letting the perfectionism go. Sometimes I try to like make something like, okay, let me rephrase this. I do think that we shouldn't treat every art that we do as a masterpiece. We shouldn't expect ourselves to make everything that we do is going to be like top quality, our 100% like poured in all the effort that we could. That is just not realistic. And once you're on a deadline, obviously somebody's paying for that and then they are expecting something good, but trying to like meet that expectation might actually make you work slower and then hate while drawing it. So what I'm trying to do, if something doesn't go well, I just say, get, that's just how it is sometimes. We do it better on the next one. I don't try to be stuck on the same image and try to perfect it or try to fix it over and over and over. I just let it go and then go on the next one. And when you have a deadline, you obviously have a client. And if the client is happy, I'm happy. Even if inside my head, I feel like, oh, I've done such a shit job. Or like, I just feel like, oh my God, this is not good. So once you let go of that, like, I must deliver the most precious art piece ever known to mankind at the specific time kind of thing, then you're able to hit those deadlines. And I personally never missed a deadline unless I got sick. And this actually, I think, is very important in getting work because I know a lot of people who draw really good, but because they don't meet those deadlines and make people wait over a year sometimes, we've seen some horror stories about some commissions, even from like really famous artists, then you don't get work again. You just don't get it anymore. No matter how great your art is, if you're 1 year late, I don't think they're coming back to buy it from you. So you need to like make sure you're somewhat delivering on time and then updating the client. So I think that's very important.
There's always this part of me that feels like I shouldn't touch the lines again after like it's done.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I had that too. That's exactly what I was talking about. That's bad, at
Yeah.
least in my opinion.
That's
You're
why I don't
looking
like
at it
doing
like
lines
it's set
anymore.
in stone. See, that's why like you're putting too much thought into it. You're like, oh my God, they got to be perfect, and I should not touch it at first. And I was like, no, it's
Yeah.
not like you can change it however you want, whenever you want. just you can even delete them. Like some people don't even use that like line art.
Gotta
Like
be
real life
more
doesn't even have it.
flexible. Do you think there is any other traits that are important to get work aside from your ability to meet deadlines, be consistent, and obviously have solid technical skills?
Advertisement.
Marketing.
Definitely marketing. Yeah, marketing. Right now, even if you are a person who's selling socks, you need to advertise that shit on social media or you're not getting much. July 21st, 2024 is when I decided that if I want to make it as an artist and if I want to be serious about my job, I definitely need a little bit more followers because followers means you get more work, you get more. Oh, wait a minute. I think I gave you the wrong date. Okay, we do that again. 1 second. Let me find the actual date. Marketing. Yes. On August 17, 2023, with all the things that we have right now, stuff like AI, and there's also a lot of artists from countries that charge really like small amounts. So there's a lot of competition and AI definitely is not helping. So what I was thinking that I'm going to try to get as many followers as I can in a way that I still enjoy doing art. I posted fan art of Nuvilette from Genshin Impact from a scene that I really enjoyed in the game. And that kind of blew up. After that, I was like, okay, around 10,000 people followed me from one art. And this is also luck. I'm not saying that, oh my God, I worked so hard for this. No, it was trending at the time. Other people also do art, and some people just don't even get seen. So I'm really grateful for how lucky I got there. Okay, so there's 10,000 people, newcomers here, that almost doubled my following, that are expecting something similar. That's why they follow. They see this one thing they like, they want to see more of that. I just wanted to post every day, but it's really unrealistic as an artist to post every day because you just can't draw that fast. We're not machines. In order to post every day, I just posted really sketchy things. People kind of don't care. People don't care if your art looks perfect or perfectly rendered or perfectly, every line is perfect and everything looks polished. No, they don't care. They care about the idea, not the execution. If the idea is good and the execution is not that good, it still gets viral. If the idea is good and execution is good, it gets super viral, if that makes sense. Right now, I have like 57K followers. And I built this by being consistent, giving people what they want, and also not burning myself out by not polishing everything, just doing sketches and stuff. And this is how I got my studio work as well, like the game work that I got. This is how I got a lot of new contact, some really great networking. So I would say marketing is number one thing that you need because you don't really need to be like an art god to sell. You need to sell things that people want to buy. And people don't always want to buy the most amazing thing in the world. Sometimes they just want to buy something that speaks to them. This is why you have a lot of like characteristic art that doesn't necessarily look super well rendered. Oh my God, this is like art god quality. No, it's just like it could be like a cartoonish drawing that was done in 2 minutes that could sell if you market it to the right audience. And I think this is why a lot of artists are struggling because right now, being an artist is not enough. You need to also be a marketer in order to sell and like stay relevant. It's actually really hard.
From my experience, I've done fan art only for Hololive. The fan base you build, they just want Hololive stuff. What would you do in that situation? Do you pivot? Do you do a lot of different things at the very beginning so you don't get boxed into one place?
Okay. So I've struggled with this a lot because I didn't want my audience to just be, Genshin Impact people. I wanted other people as well. I like drawing a certain thing. For example, I really like drawing men and muscles. And I just draw that, whatever I want, basically. It's a personal art for me. But then I slap the character on top of it. And I kind of don't think too much about it. I'm not like, I don't start a drawing by saying I'm going to draw a Grizzly from Genshin Impact. I don't start like that. I want to draw a hot guy doing a hot pose or something. And then once I look at the pose and I think about it, okay, what character from what show would look nice or would be like suitable for this pose or something. And then I slap the character on top of it. That way it still feels personal, but then it's a fan art. So it doesn't like really burn me out that much. And I get to draw something I really enjoy. And just people enjoy it as well because it's the character that they like. But even then, sometimes, I do want to draw, for example, female characters as well. I like drawing female too, but people don't really pay too much attention to when I draw female characters, except if it's from Genshin. A wise person once told me if you want to keep up with this kind of social media growth, you do 2 or 3 pieces for the people, you do one for yourself. It's kind of like a cycling through like 2, 3, 4 people, one for me. And that way, it feels like you're rewarding yourself after you've done all these things for other people. You're like, okay, it's time for me. It's time for my personal taste. And sometimes for me, that personal piece is also turns into a fan art because I just like drawing poses and bodies. I don't care too hard about like who's that person.
And what do you think about your art style? Is it a thing in studio work? Because I assume you have to follow like a certain style when you work, but then you would go back to your own stuff and you'd be like, so which one do I use? You know?
Yeah, for that, the studio specifically came to me for my art style in the first place, but I do experiment a lot. If you look at especially my recent art, the way I draw eyes, the eyelashes, and all the kinds of it's just changing all the time. And I do think nowadays, especially, people are so scared of style changes because you immediately go like, "Oh my God, that's AI! Look at how inconsistent their eyes are." Like, no, I'm just experimenting because I like changing stuff. It's not like I need to draw the same thing over and over again. That's boring to me, at least. That makes the work really stale really fast. When it comes to studio work, obviously you need to follow a certain style so everything looks consistent. And for that, at the beginning, we discussed what kind of style, how much detail, and all that kind of stuff we want to put in the work. And I did this simplified version of how I draw eyes. And then we kept, like, we stuck with that. And then now when I do studio work, I just follow that strict lines. Like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use this brush for the line art. I use the same brush for every line art. I'm gonna do this effect on the line art, and I'm gonna do this paint over on the eyelashes, and this amount of saturation inside the eyes, whatever. All this kind of like certain rules we picked together with the art team. But when it comes to my own work, I just all over the place. Sometimes I like doing really small pupils. Sometimes I like doing really big ones. And it should be okay. We should not feel we need to be consistent with everything we do. And this is also sometimes like an insecurity for me because I'm like, I don't have an art studio. I don't see it, at least myself. I don't see like, oh, that's my art when I look at it. But some people do tell me when they look at my art, they go like, oh, that's Ruru's art. And it makes me really happy. But I do think my art style is very inconsistent. Not the way I render and stuff, but like, those signature things. Sometimes you have this artist that draws eyes in the specific way that they created and it looks really cool. And then you can immediately tell it's their art. I don't have that, but I do want to have that. That's why I'm experimenting. I want to try to find something that speaks to me like really good and I really like how it looks and I want to stick maybe with that. But with the amount of indecisiveness I have, I'm not sure if I'll be able to ever come up with like this unique style I'm gonna do over and over again.
Do you think other people influence the stuff that you do? Like for me at
Oh,
least,
100%.
when you're just starting, you don't know what you're doing, and I think most people just go online and see and copy what they see. Do you still do that, or you're just experimenting by
Uh,
yourself without necessarily looking at other people?
I Okay, I do actually try to copy other people's art style just to see if I like it and if I like the process of drawing it as well. For example, there was this one artist, I don't even know their name. I just saw it on Pinterest, like a lot of their art, and I really like the way they drew the eyes. You can see that they do eyes in a very specific way. Like the pupil, I can't pronounce that word, is very small. It's just like a dot. The outer side of the eye is kind of desaturated and kind of like different color. And then upper side is like way darker, etc. I try to implement this into my art because I really like how it looks like. But then again, it's like I like it, but I don't like it to a point where I want to copy paste it. I wanted to like implement it into my own art. And what I implemented is the saturation shifts. For example, right now, I really like doing the middle of the eyes very saturated and the outer parts of the eyes not saturated. So it's like kind of grays out on the eyes. And I really like doing the eyelashes in a way where there's a lot of like empty space or like you can see like the sclera of her eyes is kind of like going out into what do you say? Into the eyelashes, which is not realistic, but I really like how that looks. So like these small kind of things you implement to your art to find your own thing. Yeah, that's how I like went about like eyes, for example. I might change it in the future. Like recently I've been drawing eyes completely different, for example. I would say my biggest inspiration is Yone Yamamai. I really like how she draws emotions, if that makes sense.
I really like her stuff as well.
Yeah, it just looks really dynamic and the
Glowy.
colors and everything so nice. But the one thing I really like about her art is the faces, the way she communicates emotion with her shape language. So, for example, unconsciously in my art, I do similar things because I look at her art all the time. Like this one, for example, is like the hair movement and all the like smile and stuff. I even got accused for tracing for this one once. And they were like, is this trace? And I was like, no, it's just a smiling pose. It's not like a crazy
In a
thing.
way,
But
though, it's kind of like a compliment, don't you think?
yeah, I was like, oh my God, you think it looks that similar?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
thank you. Yeah, because they were like, "Oh my gosh, she draws stuff like this all the time," and I was like, "Yeah, I know, right? I love it. That's why I'm like trying to copy from it so I can learn and implement it from my own art." Do I know that I didn't do anything bad? Yes. I don't care. Random like I don't know, Maiden Killer 69 person said on internet to me. I try not to think about like people like that. Like there's always gonna be haters, you know.
Yeah, there's
Oh yeah,
always
there
gonna
was
be.
this one. I do think having some inspiration is definitely good, especially if you're a growing artist. You don't know your thing yet. Because when you look at Yoneyama's art, it's very consistent. She does some style changes here and there, like in the way she renders, but the shape language is always like almost super identical, like really consistent. And you know, like she found the way she likes drawing. And I want to be able to find that as well. And in order to do that, you definitely need to copy from the masters. Like you definitely need to copy and see. I'm not saying trace and make money off of it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying copying and studying, learning how they do it. I don't know how many times I watched Fiona my streams or like her speed paint videos on her YouTube channel to see what she's doing. And I swear to God, I still don't understand some of the things she's doing. I have tried to understand what is going on here, but I still can't understand what is going on here. There's a lot of things, a lot of effects. This just like looks really good to me. Even her eyebrow looks watery, if that makes sense. Like the shape language is so flowy and everything looks so blended and like so melancholy in a way, like kind of like if that's how you pronounce that word, like kind of sad.
Mm.
And I really like that look. Taking inspiration, very important, I think. In this art piece, it looks like she's breaking a lot of rules here, in terms of like, you know, that perfect like workflow, the line art and all that kind of stuff. It's just so free. It looks like art. It doesn't look like a produced piece. And I really like that about this art piece. The colors, like it looks like she just put whatever she wanted to. She just doesn't care. It looks like that at least. And I really like how that translates into the art, like not caring and just doing whatever you want. I feel like it makes it more artsy in a way. That's why I'm trying to do things that are also like sometimes just don't make sense. And sometimes it looks like you know, when you do that,
Most
if
of
you
the
keep
time.
doing it, sometimes you end up with something really good, you know.
How do you think a person can go from, I guess, go to that level? What do you think is required?
I think the most required thing is balance. Like, because I know a lot of people who study like crazy, look at art like you're studying math. I feel like those people end up with really, really fucking looking good, that god tier art, but it looks too proper in a way, if that makes sense. Everything looks perfect. And feel like that doesn't look very much like art. Art is supposed to make you feel something. It's supposed to move something in you. And I feel like Yonema Mai's art is really good at doing that because she puts her heart into it. At least she conveys that when she's drawing. Like a good example would be like when you're like if you're getting married and then you practice those like soft smiles for like nice pictures, but you're so happy you smile like really big and it looks ugly on the pictures. I think that is beautiful. Like, you're feeling it really. That's why you're smiling so big, even though, quote unquote, you don't like how that looks. It doesn't look pretty. It doesn't look like a model, but it looks like you're feeling it. And that's, I think, what makes it look genuine. And I think we got to think about that and how to implement that into our art. The way to do that is, I think, letting go of some of the guidelines that we put ourselves. Like, we are limiting ourselves when it comes to art, doing like, oh, I need to do line art like this. I need to do colors like this, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But if you just randomly play with something, sometimes you just go like, oh, it's kind of fire. It's kind of a random thing, but it looks fire. And I think that's very important if you want to make art that looks like art. I also want to send you a couple things that I didn't share on my socials. So
Ooh,
like exclusive,
exclusive.
like really old art, but like 2018, for example.
This is good.
Yeah, this is the art style I used whenever I felt mental illness. Whenever I felt sad or if something bad happened, I had the specific art style I drew in,
Mhm.
and this was that art style.
I used to do the same kind of stuff when you know, like emo teenager. You just want to draw something
Yeah,
super edgy.
it's
Wait,
from
is this all the
2007.
same character?
Yeah, this was my inner character at the time. I associated with the feelings I didn't want to feel. But I was like a huge people pleaser, and then I hated it. But I couldn't feel that in front of them. But once they left, I would feel like, why did I do that? So all that like hatred and all that, like, oh my God, I hate myself, or like, I hate this, I hate that. I just turned it into a character because I was like, you know what, why not? And I put her into different situations, and, like stories and stuff to like get it out of my chest. Because at the time I couldn't afford therapy and stuff. What I did was get my own therapy by doing art, and it kind of worked at the time. And after I got therapy and I'm better now, but you gotta have something to hold on to. It's this all similar character. Like you can see it's like short hair,
Yeah.
like looks super dead, um, that kind of
This
stuff.
one looks cute.
Yeah, she looks kind of like
Red.
done, but she looks so done.
This
But
is
yeah,
also
and
digital. It looks traditional. This one's definitely traditional.
oh, it's digital.
Crazy.
That's why I'm saying I'm experimenting with brushes so much. I keep finding these like really traditional looking brushes because I used to be a huge traditional artist back then. I didn't draw anything digitally. So I still wanted to like I hated digital art at the beginning because I was like everything is so sharp and like no texture, it sucks. So that's why I kept like doing trying to find like textured brushes because you can't get that texture naturally in digital art, but in traditional you have these canvases or like these like really nice thick papers, and with a brush or like with like a pencil you just get the most beautiful like texture with no effort. That's why it's so exciting when I find like a really good nice brush. It makes me want to draw. I had this, I called it biscuit art style because it gives me biscuit vibes.
This is the cutesy kind, like the chibi.
Yeah,
I think everybody has
like
one of
I
these
drew.
at least. You gotta have like a proper like a main style, and then you have usually they have like a chibi style.
Yeah,
Every artist has like at least two of these.
and you gotta have one. You have to.
Yeah,
Mandatory chibi style.
mandatory. Do you have like a secret technique when it comes to drawing hair?
Okay, so how I go about it, I usually have a idea or a reference for the hairstyle because usually, I get commissions and they do have a certain hairstyle. So I'll look at yours for this one. So he has bangs and then a messy top with layers and then some more layers on the back that goes outwards. So what I think, like, okay, they wear the head shape is like the 3D. When you think about the 3D, it's like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think about like the start point of the hair, like at the top. And then I look at the bangs. He has a bit of curliness going on. It's not like straight. So, and I also like lowering the opacity of my character to see the like hair I do better, making super rough geometrical shapes at first. So this looks like shit right now, but that gives you the idea of the basics. Okay. And then I also lower the opacity of that, and then I start detailing. And how I do is like one mistake when artists draw hair is drawing it really evenly. Let's say you're drawing bangs and then you draw them like that doesn't look great. They're just too blocky. But what you gotta do is like maybe include some variety in there,
Mm-hmm.
and then suddenly it looks more real. And if you want to like make lines really close to each other, if I put a like line in between like that, it's gonna look like shit. But if I do like super close to the outer one, suddenly it looks like better, you know? I don't know why, but once you draw hair and then like you draw like multiple lines next to each other like this, if you're drawing super straight hair, you put like lines that are a bit close to each other, and then suddenly it looks a bit more realistic. I think it's because of the shape of the hair, texture of the hair.
Do you think it's important to think about where the hair comes from?
Yes, it's very important because if you don't think about that, you might end up with hair like that looks like a wig or that doesn't look like it sits on the head, like it doesn't belong. That's why sometimes I even do like a hairline underneath like this to see how much I can go into like the bangs if I'm drawing, because this is too much. He's balding.
Yeah.
But then I know how much I can go. Like I can do like this. Then he's not balding anymore. Especially with like hairstyles that have those like hair vents, like like this on the front of hair. Like if you don't know where the hairline is, it's gonna look very awkward. Like right now, for example, you can see I placed it a bit too high, so he looks like he has a massive forehead. But I wouldn't say it's wrong. Maybe he just has a big forehead. Maybe he's just Rihanna. I don't know. Like maybe. And then let's see. And it looks poofy, so I'm trying to give it some volume by not like sticking my lines to the head, giving them a slight like bounce.
So trying to imagine that the headline is over here, and then you add the hair on top.
Yeah. Play around with this a lot. I can't do it here right now, I think, but I transform, liquefy, and I try to find the perfect looking hair, and then I do the line because I don't want to think when I'm doing line art. I want my line art process to be like no brain, just draw over the already existing things, but a bit cleaner.
Just put on
That's why you
music.
can see a lot of like, yeah, just vibing. Usually put a playlist that has a cute frog on it on YouTube
I know what you're talking about.
that says, "You're gonna be okay."
Like a raining that has a raining animation.
Yes. And then like cute style, like the
Yeah.
one I showed, like the mandatory chibi style.
Yeah. I like how his face actually suits the hairstyle.
Yeah, he just now looks emo.
Yeah. It's very nice that you are essentially like an how should I put this? You're like an S tier yapper. So it makes my job very easy.
You think so? Oh my god. Yeah, they sometimes tell me you don't speak Japanese, you speak Japanese.
I just draw and listen. My favorite thing to do.
Yeah, sometimes they tell me I would be a great streamer because I just don't shut up.
Yeah, you should consider that, actually.